Hi everyone. Today, what we will do is we will create a virtual warehouses in Snowflake. Before we create that, let's do a quick recap of the virtual warehouses. So, a virtual warehouse with a single cluster here is just a standard warehouse. But a warehouse can also be created as a multi-cluster warehouse to address the concurrency issues. So what it means is, for example, you have the warehouse which is doing a lot of computations, executing a lot of queries, but there are peak hours. So in the peak hours, what you want is it start some more instances of it so that the load can be easily taken care. So let me create a virtual warehouse and show it to you guys so that you will get a clear picture what exactly is multi-clustering in terms of warehouse. So how we can create it is there are two ways to actually create the virtual warehouse. Number one is via UI. So you just click here and then you get the options. And number two is using the SQL command. You just go to the worksheet and via SQL. So let's see the first way how can we really create it. So let's go to the warehouse. So before we create it, let's see what we got when we created a trial account. So this is the name of the warehouse. This is the status. This is the size. This is the clusters running, whether it is running or not, queued, owner, and when it was created. So just to see more properties of it, we can just click these three dots. And once we click these three dots, the first one is edit, and it will show you what all properties it has. So it will show multi-cluster warehouse, mode, cluster, and other options, which I will go through when we create the new warehouse. So another one is like you can resume if it is suspended, and you can drop it, and then you can transfer the ownership. This is the option you get. So in transferring on ownership, there are like 5 roles which are provided from Snowflake. You can just choose which one has the ownership. So currently we are in the sysadmin role, if you see here on this screen. So our virtual warehouse, the owner will be sysadmin. So without any further delay, let's create a virtual warehouse. So let me create it. I'll just say alpha edge test warehouse. The size is very important. You have to choose the extra small so that not much cost is gone. The command, this is the test virtual warehouse. Now when you create a warehouse, you have to really understand that few things are by default. So multi-cluster warehouse is off by default, and the auto resume is on by default, auto suspend is on by default, and by default it is 10 minutes. So something you have to remember, if you don't choose and you just click the create warehouse, this is what it will get created. But here I wanted to show you what exactly is multi-cluster warehouse. So if you just create it like this, a standard warehouse will get created for the size of extra small, 1 credit per hour. And even if this warehouse gets created, it will start executing the query. And in the peak hours, if the more users are coming with their queries, there will be a big queue and it will take a lot of time to execute it. So what is our intention is to create a multi-cluster warehouse. So the moment you click multi-cluster warehouse, some of the options comes out. Number one is the mode. So in the mode, you see there are 2 options, auto scale and maximized. I will cover this, but before this, let me explain what is minimum cluster and maximum cluster. So when you're creating a multi-cluster warehouse, you just have to give what is the maximum number of clusters can run in the peak hours. and what is the minimum clusters. So minimum cluster is 1 here, and the maximum cluster, say for example I give 3, and it is in a auto scale mode. So what it means is during the peak hours it will start up to 3 clusters, and when there is no load it will run only 1 cluster and then suspend it after 10 minutes based on the suspension options. Another thing here is to understand is the scaling policy. In a scaling policy we have two options here. One is standard and one is economy. Standards, I mean, in high level as of now you can understand that standard means it supports starting the additional clusters faster, whereas economy will tend to wait for more time to start the additional cluster. Economy generally saves more time, and organizations mostly prefer this to save the costs. So this is the mode auto scale, where we have to give minimum cluster, maximum cluster, and scaling policy. Another mode is maximized. So the moment you select maximized, all minimum cluster, maximum cluster, and scaling policy goes away. Why? Because when you say maximized, it means that you want to run your virtual warehouse with two clusters all the time. You don't want to scale up or scale down. That's why you can say select 3, you can select 4, maximum is up to 10. You just say select 3 and then you create a warehouse. So here I will be creating a multi-cluster warehouse with a mode of auto scale from 1 to 3 using a policy as economy, because that is what is preferred to save the cost, and I will not remove these options. So auto resume means, what is auto resume means? Auto resume means if the warehouse is suspended and it's not running and the new queries comes in, it auto resumes itself, and it auto suspends itself if there is no load on it. And how much time it will wait for the load to come? In 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes it will get suspended. So without any further delay, let's create a warehouse. We just press this button and then this warehouse got created. You can check more here. Its details, it is an extra small, maximum cluster, minimum cluster, 600 seconds, auto resume is enabled, resumed just now. Who is the owner? sysadmin. So let's go back and see what are the 4 options here. I have shown you the edit. We can like suspend it. It shows you suspended here, and then we can resume it. So you might have noticed when I said resume, it gave me an option of size. So this is like you have the option of increasing the size when you resume it. So let's go here and use this option to drop it so that I can show you how you can really create it using SQL. So we have to just go to the activity, the query history, and from the query history we can take the query, go to our worksheets, create new worksheet, and then paste it here, and we can just align it a little bit so that it's more readable. And so if you see here and understand this command, what it is doing is create warehouse. It's the warehouse name, it is the comment, what is the size of the warehouse, what are the auto resume true, auto suspend is 600, what is the minimum cluster count, maximum cluster count, and scaling policy is economy. So I just create it. So my warehouse got created. If we go back here, we go to the admin and we see the warehouse. You just have to refresh it. So that's how you can create the warehouse. I would like you guys to go and make your hands dirty and create some of the warehouse and get a look and feel of the Snowflake. and I will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching.